If we are creators, why is there so much chaos today?
There's a power struggle that exists in civilization. With those with the power are the ones capable of surviving. Those without power are threatened every day. What if you rewrote your subconscious programs so that your programs now are an expression of your wishes and desires? You could have heaven on earth every day of your life. You could just think your way and let the program carry you there. You want to get through this crazy world? You need your power back. How do you change the program? And I love it, Michael, because
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered what's going on with the world and with your subconscious, then do we have the Biology of Belief show for you. Today I'll be talking with Dr. Bruce+Lipton, winner of the Goi Peace Prize and the best-selling author of The Biology of Belief. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about where we're going in the world, why there's so much chaos, how we got here, and how we get to the other side. So welcome back to the show, Bruce. Are you ready to shine?
Michael, I am so happy to be here with you. I love you. I love your audience, which is really great because they're the cultural creatives, the seekers that are going to help us move from where we are to where we want to be. And so thank you for this opportunity to talk to them.
Thank you so much. And I was torn as to which to go for the first question, but I guess before we dive right into things, Bruce, are we walking, talking wounds?
Talking wounds?
Yes. Traumas, subconscious beliefs, run amok.
We're certainly programmed to be that. And in most cases, then 95% of your life manifests that program. So yeah, we're walking. And it's interesting because we're walking in the truth of being absolute creators of our reality. And yet we're manifesting the crazy world of today and feeling as victims in the world when in truth, we're actually creators. So there's a problem. How come we're creators? And then if we are, then how come we have this mess? And so I think we're going to talk about that.
Yes. I mean, it begets the question, if we are creators, why is there so much chaos today?
This is the whole idea of where the biology comes in. And I know we talked about some of this previously, but since it's been a period of time, a little possible review of that might help. And that is simply this. The first thing we have to understand, let's just start with an important foundation. And that foundation is simply this. The most valid science on the planet today, of all the things like, geography and sociology, biology, and all that stuff, the most valid of all the sciences is quantum physics.
Okay, I'll buy that.
The first principle of understanding from quantum physics is the mind is the creator of our life experiences. Well, all of a sudden that then says, well, if that's true, and I have in my mind that I love I want to enjoy life, I want heaven on earth and all that, and I say, well, if that's in my mind, then how come I'm not manifesting it? Because there was a little piece left out of the puzzle that is so important, and that is simply this. The mind is the creator, but there are two minds. And when we say the mind, it sounds like there's a single entity, the mind. And I go, no, there's two different minds and they integrate and cooperate. And I say, well, what are the two minds? And it's really important to set this as a foundation so the rest of our discussion will emanate from there. I say, there are two minds. The latest evolution of the mind is right behind your forehead right here. It's a lobe of brain called the prefrontal cortex.
Executive functions.
It's the seat of what is called the conscious mind. It's about 10% or so of the brain. The rest of the 90% of the brain back here is called the subconscious mind, with the emphasis on sub meaning below. It's the mind that operates below your awareness, okay? It's the one that says, what's my heart rate? What's my respiration rate? What's my blood pressure? These things that are being controlled all the time. But there are also behaviors that are programmed in there as well, besides the metabolic activity of the body. I say, so we have conscious and subconscious. I say, yeah, and what's the difference? And here it comes. The conscious mind, which is connected to our personal identity and even according to physics now, our spirituality. The conscious mind is creative. The subconscious mind is habit. And there's a whole big difference there. Habit is not thinking or anything. Habit is like a program. Push the button, program. Push the button, program. Push. So the subconscious mind has nobody in it, which is really important because how many people talk to themselves? And I say, well, who are you talking to? Well, I'm talking to my subconscious mind. I go, there's nobody in there, so there's nobody listening to what you're saying. So it's not going to work very well when you do that. And yet you are in the conscious mind. And the subconscious mind is the exact equivalent of a hard drive in a computer. It's got programs, okay? And the brain is a computer, not like a computer. The brain is the computer. Ones that humans haven't come near creating the computational capability of a human brain at all at this point. And I go, so it's a computer, which then brings up the nature. Yeah, there's a hard drive in it because both the human brain or the laptop in front of you, both of them have hard drives in them, and programs are in both, which enable you to engage the machinery. Okay.
Okay. Buy it.
I
Yep.
have a conscious, creative, subconscious program. I go, good. For the first 7 years, you are basically in your subconscious mind downloading programs for the same reason as if you bought a new computer and there was no program in it, and you get a brand new computer and you push start and it boots up and the screen lights up. And I go, okay, use your computer. And you're going to go, nope, I can't use it. I said, it's brand new. Come on. And I say, why can't you use it? He said, oh, well, I got to put some programs in the computer before I can use the computer. I go, absolutely true for the laptop and the human brain. Both of them require programs. Well, you know where you get your programs. You can download them online or you can buy a disk and do all that stuff.
Yep.
And I say, what about the programs in the human mind? I say, where do they come from? I go, oh, the human mind gets programs in the first 7 years of life, by the brain being in a state called theta. And I said, what the heck is theta? It's a vibration. I go, what do you mean vibration? I go, I could read your brain function by putting wires on your head. It's called electroencephalography, EEG. Okay? I could read your
Yes.
brain function. There are different levels of brain function. The highest one, which I hope people are going to be in as we're doing our discussion here, is called beta, which is like focused consciousness, schoolroom focused consciousness. The next lower vibration is called alpha, which is calm consciousness. Okay? Like when you go home and you relax.
Yeah.
The next lower level is called theta, and theta is characterized as a state of imagination. It's not a conscious level. It's below conscious. It's imagination. I give this story. Yeah, children under 7 they're operating in theta for 7 years. They mix the real and the imaginary world. Imagination, for example, that horse, which is actually a broom, when the child's riding it, it's
Mhm.
not a broom. It's in their mind, theta, imagination, horse. Again, one of the more popular ones is the famous tea party where you pour nothing into the cup. You drink nothing, and then you say, that's the best tea I ever had. I say, that's mixing imaginary and real world together, theta. But theta is also hypnosis. We'll come back to the second because there's one lower vibration called delta, which is
Okay.
boom, sleep, unconscious, gone, sleeping machine is just taking care of itself while you're gone out of the control. So, what's the point? The point is this: for the first 7 years of your life, actually starting 3 months before you're born,
Hmm.
the brain is operating at a lower vibration than consciousness, theta, imagination, but it's also hypnosis. And I say, why? Answer's relatively simple. How many rules do you have to know to be a functional member of a family? And now you're going to find this out because your 19-month-old child is downloading these rules right now. And I say, well, how many rules must a child learn to be functional in that family? And more so, how many rules must they learn to be functional in your culture, in your community? And all of a sudden, it's like, well, you got to learn a lot of rules. You don't go to the movies and then feel like, oh, I'll just take all my clothes off. I mean, some people might do that, but it's like that's against the rules. There are rules of what you can do and what you shouldn't do. And I say, but an infant's got to learn these rules because they're growing into the family and they're growing into the culture. I say, how are they going to learn rules? And I say, that's why nature gave us the first 7 years of hypnosis, because it said, if you want to know the rules, watch somebody and download. I say, well, who do you watch? I say, you first you watch your mother and father because those are the first rule providers. By what they do is in a state of hypnosis, the brain's like a video recorder.
Yeah.
You know, your child's going to look at you, Michael, and watch your actions and how you behave when any, like somebody comes to the door. What do you do? How do you do? You know, how's your relationship with other people? Blah, blah, blah. A child downloads that because their mind is in a state of hypnosis. I said, what are they downloading? Behavior. Whose? Yours. I go, okay. And your partners, and then the behavior of the people in the community. And I go, that's how the behaviors get programmed early on in life because you can't send that school to, you can't send the kid to the school. Okay, you're 2 years old. You ready to go read a book? No, I don't think so. Okay, so nature took care of the programming by saying, first 7 years, you're on record, observe the behavior of the family and the community, and you will now know the rules and behavior to be functional members. Okay. So I go, yep, first 7 years, we download behaviors, but we download them from other people.
Bruce, what does context have to do with it? Because for the first 7 years, the context or the structure of the mind isn't the same as it is once we have the experience behind it. And even in the beginning, we don't have, I like to say, language is not my first language. So we don't even have the words to put things because I know words can actually be limits, but they can also bring context.
Well, the first thing, as you said, is what's the level of communication that first exists? And it's really important because parents need to know this as well. The first level of communication is vibration, and that's physics. Physics is energy. Energy is scored by vibration. How much vibration is in energy? Because it's waves, and waves are vibration. So I go, the first means of communication that exists in the world, strictly vibration. I go, well, how does that work? Well,
Yes.
I can tell you very simply. There are vibrations that are in harmony with you, your energy too. Okay. So you're made out of vibration. And there's some vibrations that are in harmony with you. When the two vibrations come together, they enhance your energy. It's called good vibes. And there's some vibrations that come together that cancel your energy, and that's called bad vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I say, so what's the point? I say, well, energy is life. Life is energy. And I go, what's the point? Well, if you want to have life, the more energy you have, the more life you can have. The less energy you have, the less life you can have. So
Yes.
basically, the most primitive organisms on this planet read energy to see if they're in the right place or the wrong place. So I give example. A snail comes out of an egg. There's no mother, there's no father, there's no school, there's no teacher. I said, is here, the egg opens up. I'm in the world. What the heck do I do? Well, the answer is simple. There's a dashboard on that snail, and it's only got one gauge, and the gauge is energy. It just reads, is there more energy or less energy? So it starts moving through the world. And the first thing it does is feel the energy. And the point
Yep.
is, if it's less energy, that's threatening. More energy is more life. So if it's less energy, what do you, the program is turn around, go the other way. Okay. So it reads energy to see if I'm in a place that supports me with more energy or is a place that compromises me with less energy. Okay. When it comes to food, for example, the snail comes to a plant. It can read the energy of the plant. Is this energy in harmony with the snail? If it is, this is going to be good food. But if the snail reads the energy of a plant and it feels the energy like, ooh, that's not right, it won't eat that food. So I said the whole guidance of an organism early on is strictly based on reading the energy because the energy says more energy, more life, less energy, compromised life. And I say, this is from the very primitive organisms on the planet. And now you have a baby, and I guess what? When the baby is born, it doesn't know any vocabulary, it doesn't know any language, it doesn't know anything like that, but it does know energy. And the idea of the baby is to tune in to the energy. Okay. Now, what's interesting is, Michael, you have energy coming out of you. And I say, well, why is this important? Because the baby's going to read your energy. And if you're like the good plant, the baby's going to come to you and say, look, being around you, I get more energy, I got more life. If you're like the bad plant with a bad vibe, the kid's going, I'm not so sure I want to be there, you know? And so basically, baby first only experiences energy. Is it a good vibe or a bad vibe? That's all it's really doing, because that's the most primitive thing in the world. Later, we can ascribe words to describe those energies. Then the words take on the meaning of the energy, okay? But the point about it is this: I could be a person which is evil with a very bad energy, but I have a vocabulary with really good words. And I could
Okay.
be evil, but I could make you feel I'm the hero you've been looking for. And I give you all the great words because I know the words you're going to buy. And I say, but the words are not you. The words are a language that you are using. And I say, why is this problematic? And this is important